This is WVVA in Focus, a weekly program about important issues and events in the two Virginias.
It's a new year, and this means it's a chance for you to make goals and achieve them. And this includes ones related to your health. This morning, we're going to share one woman's incredible journey of losing weight and gaining an entirely new outlook on healthy eating. And now she's passionate about sharing what she's learned with you at home. Joining me now in the studio is Brenda Workman. So, Brenda, I'm so excited to have you here in the studio this morning. Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, what led you on this journey toward losing weight?
Well, all through my adult life, I've lost weight and gained it back. This time it was different because it was all about health. So it was when my health got bad that I realized that it wasn't just about weight loss, it was going to be about improving my health. So that's where it started.
And what was going on with your health at that time? And did the doctor say, hey, Brenda, you need to change your lifestyle?
Yes, thankfully I have a doctor, and I'm thrilled with him because he mentioned lifestyle change. So many doctors are just ready to hand out medication. And my doctor believes in medication, and sometimes you have to have medication, but he did mention the lifestyle change. So what happened to me was I was at home one day. I already had high cholesterol for decades and was on statin drugs for decades. And I didn't want to be on them, but you know, you have to take them. And all of a sudden now, that particular day I got dizzy, started checking my blood pressure, and I had high blood pressure. Had to contact my doctor. He had to put me on meds. High blood pressure is not something that you play with. You have to treat it right away. But my doctor said to me, Brenda, I believe if you go on a plant-based diet, I believe you'll see a difference in your health. I believe you could possibly get rid of these issues that you're having with your health. Well, I'm an Appalachian girl, grew up in West Virginia eating biscuits and gravy, and I had to ask myself, does food have something to do with this? And so I started going by the plant-based diet, and oh my word, the change was radical. I couldn't believe it.
So how quickly did you transition over to that new diet, new lifestyle, and getting rid of those meats?
I did it immediately. And I think the reason why was once I developed the high blood pressure, I did what a lot of people do. I got on the internet and started looking at what if you have high cholesterol and high blood pressure. Everything pointed to it typically leads to heart disease. And so it was a realization in my life as to, is this the direction you want to go? Is this what you want to do? You know, sometimes we're just like, oh, I'm getting older, I'm going to have these problems, it's just part of life. I didn't want to go there. I thought if there's anything that I can do to prevent this, I want to prevent it. And so I just followed the doctor's orders from the get-go, like both feet in. I had to do a lot of research. I didn't know. I had to read books. I had to watch videos. I had to watch documentaries. I had to do a lot of things to research, try recipes. I took a cooking course on plant-based eating and plant-based preparation. Anything that I could do to prepare myself, but I went all in.
So what did you learn from your research as to why plant-based diets do make a difference in someone's health?
Well, this research has been going on for a very long time. Sometimes people think this is like a new fad, but it actually isn't. This research has been going on for a long time. Some people can reverse even heart disease. It's not uncommon at all to reverse type 2 diabetes by eating plant-based. In my case, I'm now off of my cholesterol meds after decades of taking it. I'm off my blood pressure meds, and I've dropped 60 pounds. So I'm a living testimony as to what plant-based eating can do.
Yeah, that's an amazing journey that you've been on. And here are some photos of you, Brenda, before and after that we just saw a moment ago. So how long did it take you to lose the 60 pounds? And what did you start feeling health-wise when you were starting to lose that weight?
I immediately had more energy. Like within a couple weeks, I could see a big difference in my energy level. The first year I lost 40 pounds. The second year I lost 20 pounds. I wasn't really, like, I wanted to lose weight, but that was only part of the reason I was doing this. It was mostly for the health. So when I came from my doctor's office and he said, I'm going to take you, he had already taken me off blood pressure meds. He said, I'm going to take you off cholesterol meds. I actually went out in the car and cried because I thought, what? Like just changing the food that I'm eating is making this much difference in my health. You got to be kidding. So every time I put up something on social media, I always put #FoodMatters because it really does.
Right, and how did you feel at that moment? You said you felt like you could cry when you learned that you didn't need that medication anymore. That's life-changing to hear that news.
It is, because remember, I was heading in the direction of possible heart disease, like a lot of Americans are. In fact, 60% of Americans have some type of chronic disease. So we have to ask the question, how much does food matter? You know, and we're all about, oh, I want to lose weight, I'm going to go on this fad diet or that fad diet. Let's talk about what you can sustain and what in the long term is going to be best for your health. And it was almost like my body was saying, thank you. Thank you for feeding me the things that are good for me, you know. So I felt so much better. And this has been 2.5 years ago. So I'm still, and that's what I didn't expect. That was what I didn't expect. I figured I would lose weight. I figured I would get rid of the medication for high blood pressure. Wasn't sure about the cholesterol part, but thankfully that went away. But what happened that I didn't expect was that suddenly I wasn't yo-yo dieting anymore. I did that my entire life. And so suddenly I was satisfied with my food and I wasn't craving things. Like that was the major change.
What did you used to crave that you were surprised and said, you know, I'm not craving this anymore?
Sweets, I can answer that right away. It was always high fat, high sugared foods. And I really believe it was an addiction that I had, but that's what I craved all the time. And when I switched over, 2 weeks in, I remember I had a bad day at work, and on my way home I thought I'm going to stop at Dairy Queen because that was my typical fix for a bad day. But I talked myself through it, and I thought, is this really what you want to do? Now, you know, it's about your health now. It's not about weight loss, it's about your health. So I passed Dairy Queen up and went home, and really from that point on, I haven't had any other cravings, no cravings.
Do you crave the healthy foods now, like certain healthy foods?
I do, yeah. Like if I don't eat like a fresh salad, let's say I go a couple days and I'm eating plant-based, but I don't get a fresh salad in, it's like my body is like, we need something fresh here. Can you make us a salad? And then when I eat it, it's almost like being thirsty and drinking water. I feel like, refreshed.
Like just, and what amazes me, Brenda, is you've talked about higher energy levels. Like, did you just feel like energy throughout the day, bursts of energy? How did that help you?
It was energy throughout the day. I didn't have and even moods, you know, a lot of times people have these roller coaster moods. It's been just so even kilter. Even that has changed, but just energy throughout the day, so much more energy. And I'm sure the weight loss has something to do with it, but I know it has everything to do with the food I'm eating.
Well, I'm so excited because you brought some food for me to try this morning, so I can't wait to dig in. It smells so good, and we also have some photos we want to share with our viewers of some other foods you've created that we can give some folks some tips at home. So we do have to take a quick break, Brenda, but we'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everyone. This morning we've been talking with Brenda Workman. She's here in the studio and she has generously brought some food for me to try. She's passionate about helping others create healthier meal options. So Brenda, again, thank you for being with us this morning.
My pleasure. Can't wait for you to try some of this food.
Me too. I'm so excited. So let's talk about the food you brought to the studio today, and I'm going to talk about, or try each one, but let's talk about the ingredients, your prep time, and things like that. So what do we have here?
Okay, that is an Asian noodle salad, and it has peanuts in it. It has all kinds of veggies in there, so a lot of color I think is important when you're cooking plant-based food. I also have like a peanut sauce over it as well. So I think it's good. You could have it for a meal or you could have it as a side, either one.
Okay, and then I'm gonna try a little bit of this, but what was the prep time to get this ready?
What takes the longest for this is the chopping of the vegetables. So like I said, it's got a lot of veggies in it. So I'm talking, The noodles are like 4 minutes to cook, so probably 20 minutes to put it together.
This is really, really tasty.
Yeah, yeah. And this is actually half of a recipe. I typically make it in a great big bowl, and then I eat on it all week long. And it's versatile in that you can eat it like this now, and then tomorrow you could add some fresh spinach to it. And the next day you could add some chickpeas to it. You know what I'm saying? You could just keep eating it throughout the week, adding different things to it.
So you don't get bored with it. You can add it and make it fresh.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, this was really tasty. And then what do we have here?
Okay, this is granola, and this is just store-bought. It's a lower fat version. I sometimes make my own granola, but I didn't do that. I didn't do that today. I just brought the store-bought one. This is like for breakfast. It's a warm apple cherry compote, and then you serve it with some low-fat granola on top. So this would be a great breakfast. In fact, it's one of my favorite breakfasts.
Oh, and then again, what's the prep time on this?
This is really, really fast. You're cooking the pitted cherries. I buy them frozen, and then you're chopping up apples. You're cooking them in like an apple juice, and then some cinnamon, some vanilla, and then you thicken it, and then you add the granola on top. But for a breakfast or even for after dinner, like it's almost like a cobbler or something that you're eating. You could use it as a dessert as well.
Yeah, this is really great. And where do you buy your ingredients from for your food?
I typically buy mine locally. You know, it could be, is it okay if I mention where?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Kroger is where I buy most of my, you know, I can find most, like the frozen cherries I buy at Kroger. Okay. So yeah, but sometimes I buy things at Walmart. It just depends on where I'm shopping. But yeah, I can usually find things locally. If there's ingredients that I can't find, I'll order them maybe from Amazon if I want a particular thing. But most things that I cook, I can find them in the local area.
Okay, well that's fantastic. And this tastes really good as a breakfast meal.
Yeah, yeah. This is a brownie bite. And again, very easy to make. You basically mix the ingredients up in a food processor and it becomes gooey. And then you roll it. I like to refrigerate it overnight. But I think it's a great little treat to have for your dessert. And so they're no-bake brownie bites.
This is so good.
Thanks, I think so too.
I'm just amazed by everything here. So how many different recipes do you rotate through to keep your meals fresh so you aren't getting bored with them?
Yeah, like I try recipes all the time. I love to try new recipes. But typically in a week's time, this is the thing that people don't understand. I might make only like 3 recipes in a week. And then like I told you, as I'm eating that recipe, I'm adding more ingredients to it until I finish it up, and then I'll make another recipe, and then I may add more ingredients. I adapt it as the week goes on. So it's not like I'm cooking every single day, but I do cook more now than I used to. I used to eat out all the time, but typically what you get at restaurants, especially fast food restaurants, are high fat, high sugar, highly processed food.
Yeah, for sure. So this is just a healthier way to go. And for meal prep, for those who are busy, just take a couple hours maybe earlier in your week so you have food all week long.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And sometimes I'm not afraid of high carb plants, so I eat white potatoes and I eat sweet potatoes and I just eat all plants. So I might actually cook some of those in advance, keep them in the fridge, chop those potatoes up, put them in the air fryer later in the week. So that's a way of batch cooking as well. Okay,
well, fantastic. So we have some photos here we'd like to share with our viewers, Brenda. So what are we looking at here on the screen?
That's the brownie bites that you just tried, yeah. Okay. This one is avocado toast, which is what I had for breakfast this morning. This one has alfalfa sprouts on it, but a side of melon. That's a favorite breakfast of mine. I choose Ezekiel bread just because I like the ingredients in Ezekiel bread, but I certainly do eat 100% whole wheat bread from time to time as well. So just a good breakfast with those tomatoes on it. This is what my salads look like now. That has a lot of greens underneath it.
It's colorful.
I used to just eat lettuce, tomato, and cucumber, you know?
Yeah.
And now as a plant-based eater, man, I make pretty salads. There's roasted potatoes in this salad. I like it to be colorful. I like the texture to be different. So this really helps a lot with satisfaction, is color, texture, just fresh stuff. It's so good for your body.
Right, and it looks like it would be filling. Like I would eat that and not feel like hungry afterwards.
Yes, absolutely. This is egg rolls. Rather than frying them, I put them in the air fryer, and they don't have meat in them. They just have the cabbage, seasoned cabbage on the inside, and then that's a vegan yum yum sauce on the side, and then I even have a stir fry there with some broccoli and some rice and different things to go on the side. But yes, I ate all three at that meal.
Oh, this looks good too.
Yeah, this is like a portobello mushroom tortilla, and it also has roasted peppers in it. So this was actually a dish I made when I visited some relatives and they wanted to eat plant-based with me. So it was a delicious meal. It has salsa, has avocado, just a lot of cool ingredients that, again, is very satisfying.
Oh, this looks tasty.
Yeah, this was served at actually a wellness weekend that I hosted, and it's just a veggie wrap, and then on the side is lentil soup. I love lentil soup. It's very satisfying, and then we have fresh fruit, and we have like a fresh salad in the background, so the participants of those wellness weekends, I think, are very impressed with the plant-based food that we have to offer, so veggie wraps are easy to make. Yeah, this is like a chocolate pudding that I made, and this particular one, you actually use black beans. I know that sounds gross, but it's not gross, trust me. There's also other chocolate puddings that you can make with avocado, but just a nice little treat to eat maybe after your meal.
Yeah.
This is a chocolate cherry smoothie, and this is something that I like to make often. Just blending it up. In the blender, it has a banana in it, and it has cherries in it, has cocoa powder, has a little sweetener of some sort. I typically use either honey or maple syrup, just a little bit, but that's a delicious treat.
It looks it. And what's this, Brenda?
This is breakfast, and it's got shredded wheat, and it also has just some oats sprinkled in there, some flaxseed, ground flaxseed, and then lots of fruit in there. And then I would add a plant milk on it, like soy milk or almond milk, but that's a delicious breakfast. Another tortilla type thing with, typically when I'm doing the tortillas, I will do a mushroom, some type of mushroom and onions and peppers, and just add a lot of seasoning. I like cilantros. I know some people don't, but I typically add cilantro. This was in a hotel room, and I'll share with you in a little while how I travel, but I made this in a hotel room. It's beans and red beans and brown rice and fresh tomatoes and fresh onions. And I was in a hotel room, made my own dinner, and stuck with that, and it was delicious.
Wow, that does look so good. And this one, I think this might be our last photo here.
Yeah,
Brenda.
this is a tofu, and some people snarl their nose up, but there's so many recipes that you can make with tofu that's good. This is a scrambled tofu, and I ate it with roasted potatoes for breakfast. It also has mushrooms, onions, peppers in this as well. I love it. So this is one of my favorites too.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're sharing these tips with us this morning with the viewers at home, because I've gotten so many ideas just by seeing these photos, trying your food, and it tastes so good.
Yeah, yeah. People, for some reason, when they think plant-based, they think, oh, bless your heart, you probably eat salad all day long. And the truth of it is, no, I don't. I make good recipes, and I love what I eat. When I walk away from my meal, I feel so satisfied. And I don't typically get hungry until the next meal time. It's not like I'm like, gosh, I'm starving to death. I don't feel that way at all.
All right, well, Brenda, we have to take one more quick break, and I do want to hear more about how, when you're traveling, you're still able to eat healthy food. So we'll share those tips with our viewers when we come back right after this.
Okay.
Welcome back to this edition of In Focus, everyone. This morning, Brenda Workman has been sharing her incredible journey to the healthiest version of herself. And we want to encourage you that you can do the same. You can get healthy this year as well. So, Brenda, we'll talk about upcoming classes in a moment. But first, what made you decide to start speaking to groups on plant-based eating and then doing cooking demonstrations?
Well, I was already doing some professional speaking before I started eating plant-based. And then all of a sudden I started having requests. People started saying, can you come speak to our group about plant-based eating? So I decided I needed to credential myself a little more so that I would feel comfortable doing that. So I did get my certification through Cornell University in plant-based nutrition. And then I went through the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine and became a licensed Food for Life instructor. So what that means is I can use Physicians Committee's resources. So they have videos with doctors giving data about this. They have handouts that I can give everybody. And some of the recipes you tried this morning actually came from the Physicians Committee. So they just give me lots of resources to use. And I feel like West Virginia is at the top of the nation. It's sad for obesity, diabetes, heart disease. And so my heart says, share this with other people, you know, because what has happened to me, we don't have to just give up and say, well, it is what it is. It's genetics, you know, I'm going to be this way, I can't help it. There's so much that we can do, and I want to encourage people to do that.
Right, and it just starts with day one, taking the initiative and saying, you know what, I need to make a change, and I start today.
Yes.
Right, so what classes locally do you have planned this month that viewers at home may be interested to know more about?
If they just want to do a one-time class at Kraft Memorial Library in Bluefield, West Virginia on January 28th, it's a Saturday, I'm doing 2 one-time classes. One is a plant-based basics class, and the other one is about diabetes, like how food affects and how it fights diabetes. So they can call the library to register for those classes. And then I'm going to do a 7-week class called Kickstart Your Health, and it's going to be on Mondays starting January 23rd, and it'll be at Johnson's Chapel Baptist Church in the evening, 6 to 8, and that'll run for 7 weeks. All of these classes I'll be doing cooking demos along with nutrition education. Yeah, and then I have wellness weekends too.
Oh, let's talk about that. How does that work?
Yeah, well, last year I did 2 wellness weekends for women. One was at Pipestem State Park, one was at Canaan Valley Resort, and they went really, really well. So I'm doing about 6 this year, mostly at state parks in West Virginia. The next one is at Pipestem, March 31st through April 1st. So it's just a weekend of hearing this information, like I showed you in the picture before, experiencing meals that are plant-based, and just talking about how can you realistically make this happen in your life.
Exactly, and that's the key, is like learning how to do this day to day and to change your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And Brenda, you also have a website, social media pages. Let's go ahead and share that with our viewers, because I know you've had interest beyond West Virginia and Virginia with your healthy eating.
Yes, they can go to my website at BrendaWorkmanSpeaks.com. And that's where you can register for classes and find out where they are, and the wellness weekends will be advertised there as well. Social media, it's Brenda Workman Speaks. So they want to go there. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I post pictures all the time, just like the pictures you saw earlier, just to inspire people. So they're like, oh yeah, I can fix that, you know, just give them ideas.
Right, and then you've also had folks beyond just our area who are interested and who have reached out to you. Let's share a little bit about that.
Well, especially professional development staff meetings. It seems that they want their folks to learn about wellness because it's so important, especially after COVID. You know, how do we take care of us? And so surprisingly, a lot of places are reaching out saying, hey, can you come do a wellness training for our staff? And so I've been traveling around West Virginia, different areas, doing those type of, it's really like self-development is really what it is.
Yeah, I could definitely see why companies would be interested in helping their workers with that. And Brenda, what advice would you offer to someone who's watching this morning, who's maybe thinking about making healthier diet changes, but just isn't sure how to get started with it?
I would recommend probably the first thing is to watch the documentary called Forks Over Knives. It's eye-opening, Forks Over Knives. That was something I did at the beginning. And then start educating yourself. We are intelligent people, and we don't have to listen to what other people say. We can research for ourselves. So start researching. What is long-term? Don't keep going back to the same things that you did in the past, which I had many of those situations too, where you lost weight, gained it back, lost weight, gained it back. and it didn't really work for you long term. Think of it more in long term. How can I improve my health? How can I make this a lifestyle change? And start educating yourself. I think that's the first thing, is educating yourself on what would be the best thing.
What about advice for someone who's on a tight budget and isn't sure if they can afford to eat healthy?
For some reason, people think plant-based is going to be overly expensive. I totally disagree. Have you priced bacon and steak lately?
Yeah, it's expensive.
You know? Even when I'm buying food at these wellness weekends to serve to everybody, the people are like, "Oh, we can give this to you cheaper because we don't have any meat in these meals."
Yeah.
So definitely. Consider if things are not in season, you can buy frozen veggies and put them in your meals. You don't have to always buy fresh, but definitely buy in season. Beans and rice are very inexpensive. I've seen them at the Dollar Tree before. Yeah. You know, I think creating recipes is going to be the cheaper route, because eating out certainly is not. So maybe cooking a little more, and batch cooking might be the answer. Let me go ahead and get several things ready, so when I get home, like I might put brown rice in my refrigerator, and I can add that to a stir fry when I walk in the door. You know what I'm saying? Make it faster, yeah.
And Brenda, I wish we had more time to chat with you, because I swear we could talk for hours about all the healthy eating. Thank you so much for coming to the studio today and sharing this important advice and your story with our viewers.
Sure, it's my pleasure.
And that does it for this edition of In Focus. Remember, you can always send me an email, mzosh@wvva.com, if you're interested in being a guest on the segment. So we hope you have a great day.